First click New Flash Document and then select the Oval tool and then choose the border color and the fill color. Look down to the bottom and click this slider to choose your line thickness, and then hold Shift down and drag your circle shape. Then click the selection tool, double click here to rename it, call it background, and then select new layer. Okay, now we're ready to do the clock hand, so click the rectangle tool, choose some different colors that contrast with your background, and then drag a fairly thick sort of clock hand onto your second layer. I've also clicked the padlock to lock the first layer. Click the selection tool and drag a box around your hand, then click Modify Convert to Symbol and click OK. Now if you click the Free Transform button, this is how your hand would rotate, which isn't what we want. But if you drag this dot here down to the bottom, it will rotate along that dot rather than across the middle. First though, we need to add some frames, some pages to our flipbook, so click on frame 30 and then insert timeline frame and do it with both layers. Now click on your hand layer and right click and motion tween. On the first frame you want the clock hand to be straight up and down, but on the last frame you want it to be pointing down to the bottom. So I'm going to drag it round till it's almost exactly underneath. Move the playhead back and forth to check it's going the right way. You can also click Control and Test Movie. The animation's running a bit fast, so let's get rid of the preview window by clicking the X, and if you change where it says frames per second by double clicking and change 12 to 1, and that will do 1 frame per second. Click Control and Test Movie to see if your animation has changed. Okay, that works. So when you're ready, click the X in the top right to get rid of this preview window. Okay, now I'm going to create a new layer, and they call it alarm because it's going to create a flashing thing that will tell the viewer that it's almost out of time. So on the new layer, click the oval tool and drag a red splodge of circle, holding the shift button down so it's over the top of the clock. Then click the selection tool and drag the alarm layer underneath the clock layers so it's at the bottom. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to make it line up exactly right. Now we need to edit the timeline so only it goes red at the end of the clock timeline. Highlight all of the frames except the first one on the red alarm layer, and then right click and remove frames. You should now just have one frame of the red alarm layer at the beginning of your timeline. If you right click on that frame and cut frame, you can move it to near the end of your timeline by right clicking and pasting somewhere near the end. This means we've got one frame where it goes red, sort of 2/3 near the end of the timeline, and we want it to flash on and off. So if you click on the frame where it goes red and then press F6 twice until you get to the end of the timeline. Pressing F6 repeats that keyframe with the red splodge on it each time, so that you've got red from about 2/3 along your timeline to the end of your timeline. And all you need to do to make it flash is every other one. If you click on every other keyframe, click on it once with your mouse and hit the delete key on your keyboard, and then it should flash on and off. Okay, when you're happy with your movie, you are ready to export it. So you need to click on File, Export Movie, browse to your My Documents, give it a decent file name like clock and not just call it Untitled or something. When you click Save, you will get these options which you don't need to change right now. Just click OK and it will save a shockwave flash file to your My Documents. So just click Start, My Documents, browse to the clock.swf file and double click it to see the actual animation, not the thing that you just play in Flash, but the actual thing you put in your web page. And we'll use this clock and put it back into Flash as part of our next animation project. If you look for the video guide titled Flash MX Moving Backgrounds, you will see what I'm talking about.